All right, Kimberly Ducard, thank you very much. Folks, if it still feels like inflation's not going away, you're right, it's not. Let's take a look at the latest CPI numbers. In fact, inflation at the consumer level went up last month at a much quicker pace than in July. The 0.6% increase to 3.7% on a yearly basis. Well, the 0.6% was 3 times higher than the previous month, 0.2% in July. And the core rate of inflation, which strips out food and energy, jumped 0.3%, which was 50% higher than expected. And let's face it, since virtually all of us use food and energy, those prices actually do matter. And the price of gasoline soared almost 11% in August as oil prices have started to rise again. Finally, let's go back to the month that Joe Biden took office as president. Inflation at the consumer level has gone up since then, 17.4%. If you don't make that much more money since January of 2021, you're falling behind. So let's bring in former Trump senior economic advisor and author of Trumponomics, and that's Stephen Moore. Stephen, pick apart what I said, whatever you'd like to observe. I'm curious what your thoughts are, where we stand right now.
Bob, you did an excellent summary of what's going on with these prices. I just add a couple of points to what you just said. I never could understand why anybody pays attention to that, quote, core price inflation, because core inflation takes out food, energy, gas prices. Well, that's what most of us spend our money on. So I never even understood the logic of that statistic. Gas prices, you are right, my friend, are surging right now. The price of oil went up to above $90 a barrel. That's the equivalent of about $4.25, $4.50 a gallon at the gas pump. Now, those prices haven't hit yet, Bob, but they're going to hit probably in the next week or so as those higher oil prices filter into higher gas prices. I do not believe we're out of the woods at all on inflation. And you're right, the most important number, I think you said 0.6% for the month of August. Well, that's a giant increase.
Yes.
I mean, you do that on an annual basis, you're talking about, my math is right, 7.5% inflation.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Stephen, want to get your thoughts on this. The White House, of course, did put out a statement today on the consumer price index, the CPI. Here's, of course, the last line. Republicans in Congress pushed for tax cuts for the wealthy and large corporations and devastating cuts to programs hardworking Americans count on. That's how they're trying to deflect and saying that, oh, no, we've got this under control. And the Republicans are the bad guys. What's the truth?
The biggest inflation happened before Republicans took the House in 2023 at the start of this year. Last year, the inflation rate, in fact, the Census Bureau just reported this, the official yearly inflation rate was 7.8%. The Census Bureau just reported that in 2022, the poverty rate rose as fast almost as it ever has. The child poverty rate doubled, and you had a big decline since Biden came into office of about $2,000 in family income. How do you blame that on Republicans? So poor people are doing worse because more are in poverty. If the middle class is doing worse, who's doing better?
Yeah. Let me ask you this. I watched Jared Bernstein today. I assume you know Jared. I think he's well liked, but he has to sell what he's selling there, which is Bidenomics. And I noticed he's playing a little bit of a game in what he's picking and choosing. He is not saying real income has gone up for people since Biden took office. He's saying it went up if you compare it to the time pre-pandemic. So he's picking a different number. And I
don't get that one.
Your comments or thoughts on that?
Yeah. So let me be clear on this. So this is where I think Trump really just kills Biden, is that under Trump, we had a $6,500 increase in median family income, okay? $6,500. Under Biden, in his first 2 years in office, median household income fell by $2,000, and we're supposed to be in a recovery. COVID is over. None of these numbers make any sense. The economy should be booming right now. This has been a terrible week for the Biden administration. They got a lousy inflation number this morning. They got a terrible terrible number on poverty and incomes the day before.
Yes.
Things are off on the wrong track in this country, and people are getting poorer.
Yeah, and yet, Stephen, tomorrow President Biden is going to be speaking specifically on Bidenomics, and I'm sure he's going to be patting himself and his administration on the back.
Good. Let him. If he wants to own this economy, it's all his. You know, I've talked to President Trump about this. I mean, he thinks that what's going on right now is a total disaster for our economy. And I think the contrast, if it comes down to a Trump versus Biden, campaign like we had in 2020, I think Trump is just simply asked the American people, you like the track the country is going on right now economically? And the vast majority of Americans say no.
Yeah, and once again, returning to a number that I've been keeping an eye on, and that is, what is the CPI index now compared to when Mr. Biden took office?
Yeah, 17.5%.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in other
17.5%.
words, just to underscore that, Stephen, if you're not making 17.4% more today than you were in January of 2021, you are falling behind.
Yeah, and the new census data that I just mentioned that came out on Tuesday, that is telling us officially that the vast majority of families have not seen a 17.5% to 18% increase, and most of them are about 14 or 15%. So people have seen this decline in income. And again, why is that happening? What about all that stimulus money that was supposed to stimulate the economy? $6 trillion. How can you spend that much money and not get any results?
Well, you got inflation, so you got that going for you.
Yeah, right. They drove up prices, that's for sure.
All right, Stephen Moore, thanks so much for joining us. And of course, it'll be interesting to see what President Biden says tomorrow when he touts his Bidenomics. I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.